Welcome to the Monday Brain Dump. This week we're covering some back escapes. I want to thank Brad for being here again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you, man. And I got good feedback last week on your additions to the knee belly attacks. So
cool.
Anyway, yeah, man, good to have you here. Thank you for doing it. So let's jump into some back escapes. What to do if you're the person in the inferior side of the back control. So in Pedro Sauer's curriculum, we have something called the finger point concept. And the idea is that when someone's behind you and one of the arms comes in, either of the arms, so go ahead, put one in. Yeah, when this comes in, the idea is that, yeah, his finger is pointing the direction, not that I should look. I don't want people to get confused, and they do. It's the direction I should fall. So I fall that direction, and I actually look back at the choking armpit. And I always say it's like having a bear in your yard. You want to look at it, but back away from it, right? And that's going to help you always pick which side to be escaping to. So, you know, one drill that we'll do sometimes is I don't know which hand he's going to put in, but when one comes in, I have to look at it and fall away from it. When somebody does get the back harness here, I want to get control of the choking arm. Of course, my main problem is not the one under my armpit. I'm not so worried about that. I'm worried about him completing this circuit and choking me with the top arm. Yeah. So the top arm is my problem, and I'm going to get a grip of it this way. I'm going to put my thumb in here, and I can actually put my thumb in behind the elbow as well and get a grip of the arm here. So this is sort of the ideal grip on it. It's almost like a baseball bat. You know, it becomes a waiting game from here. If I get impatient and I start messing with his hooks, he'll probably choke me because I'm the one that broke my grips. If he breaks his grips, and that might be to collect this wrist here, right? Room and try to break this so that he can put the choke in, yes. That's the perfect time to do our move. When his grip breaks, that is the timing that I should use to start escaping on the underside. If I can fall to the underside, the side that he's under my armpit, this is just the terminology I use, underside, overside. If I fall to this underside, my goal is going to be kind of like the finger point concept hints at. I want to get my head to the ground and my shoulders both to the ground, not just one of my shoulders. But once both my shoulders are on the ground, it's impossible for him to choke me here. He can try and wrap up a choke. He can even put a rear naked together, and it's basically the wrong angle for him. So all of my hand focus can go to this leg that's trying to create a better position for himself. So I like to get like thumb hooks if I can under the knee, maybe by the ankle, and start to back myself out of this position. I'm going to continue to back away and drive in off my feet for a top position. That's how I put it all together. So he's got his control. I'm going to get a grip either side. Yep. I'm going to get a grip like a baseball bat. My thumb goes in by his wrist. Oh, either way. Thumb goes in by the wrist. The other one goes up in underneath here. That's going to help me if we fall to the other side. You'll see how. But from here, I'm going to fall to this side, and I want to get my head to the ground. I want to get my shoulders to the ground. I want to get both shoulders to the ground. And now I can use all my hand focus for blocking this leg, coming off beside him, and driving back in. Hopefully for top side control. Sometimes you'll end up in half guard or guard, but he's off your back, and that's the idea.
Anytime that my partner puts me on the head side but knows, or I find myself here but they know what they're doing, meaning Greg's got his chin right on my shoulder here. Again, I'm a pirate and he's the parrot on my shoulder, like repeating everything I say here, and he's super tight so that when we fall this way or he takes me this way, okay, it's really difficult, even if I have all my controls here, right, to be able to sort of affect that ability to turn because Greg is blocking my escape here with his head. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna walk my heels into my butt. So if we go here, okay, so all I'm gonna do is walk my heels into my butt here and bridge back really hard and drive my weight to sort of separate Greg's chin from my shoulder here. You notice that when I drive the back of the crown of Greg's head, the back of his head to the mat here, what it does is it kind of causes a little bit of a separation here, and it allows me to get my head in front of his head, and now all our same rules can apply. I start to move. Again, that arm is pinned underneath me, so there's no more choke, like Greg said, and I can start to monitor his leg or get up into my guard or scramble. So here, I want to be really proactive. As soon as I find that I can't turn here, okay, guys, I'm going to walk my heels into my butt, okay, to make my bridge as dynamic as possible and push Greg's head to the floor. See, that kind of creates that space where he's not able to hold that shoulder anymore, hold that line of my shoulder, and now I can start to turn and monitor that leg and move away to either start to get on top or just to scramble.
So now we're gonna go to the over side, to the side where his arm is over my shoulder, not under my armpit. So if he's got his harness, I'm gonna put my same defense together. I've got my thumb in at the wrist, got my thumb in underneath at the elbow, and I'm holding on here, and I'm waiting for the grip break. And when the grips break, in this case, I'm gonna look at Brad, and I'm gonna slink down, and I'm gonna bring this over my head, which is actually an easy movement because I've shelved his arm on my C-grip here. And the reason I look at him is so I don't run into my own chin. So as soon as the grip breaks, I look at Brad and I slide down. I was pulling with my heels, and I lift this over my head and reattach it to my chest, getting a two-hand grip on it. Now I can close my knee here and add a little pressure for his hook to fall off. Brad's got an injury, I'm gonna just let it fall off. And when we fall to this side, I can now walk my feet out, and I'm gonna try to drive in and get up on top of side mount. If we fall to or have fallen to the over side, to the choke side, I'm gonna handle it this way. I'm gonna hold tight and wait for the moment his grip breaks, look at him, pass his arm over my head, and get a strong two-hand grip on it. I can now bring my knee in and use my elbow to push his hook off, and then we're gonna fall to this side. From here, I can just sit up and hope for like a mount opportunity here or side mount, but we've gotten the guy off our back. We've used the ground to peel him off, and we can pull ourselves up to a top position there. So if I get in a hand fight with the person on my back and I'm able to shed the hands for any amount of time, it's good for me to sit forward and hold on to the feet here. I'm getting a grip on the knife edges of his feet, the pinky edges of his feet, and I'm sitting forward. What this does is, because of the way our hips work and our knees work, it's hard for him to sit forward and put the harness in now. Yeah. He only has the hooks, okay? And from here, I can pick my moment and turn my grips over and get the heels and scoot out and try to fight my way back up. So if we're hand fighting here and I get the opportunity to sit forward, I can hold on to the feet. It's kind of a neener position where Brad just can't put his harness in. It's hard to get his feet back out. It is hard to figure out what to do next when someone does this to you. I've had someone do it to me recently. When I pick my moment to escape, I'm just gonna turn my grips over and hold the heels here and scoot away and get up from there. One option we can get sometimes if the harness isn't totally pinning me to his chest yet, again, this might be early in his back take, or it might be because of a mistake he makes while I'm on his back, it's possible sometimes for me to scoot downwards. So I'm gonna scoot down the mat using my heels and then bring my knees in front of me. When I do that, it adds a bunch of tension to his knees to the point of discomfort, and at that point I can sort of straighten one, and you'll find that it falls right off. We have sort of two options from here. One is to go, just like we did on the underside escape, to bring my head and shoulders to the ground and immediately start worrying about his leg so he doesn't get top control. It's a loose enough harness that I can scoot down, so I do. Knees together and then straighten one. I've created some tension in the knee, the leg should fall off. Now I can go head to the mat, shoulders to the mat, block the leg. If I decide that the direction I want to get up is to my knees instead of to my back, I'll hold on to the shoulder, I'll look where I'm going here, and I'll pull him down while I step myself around, and as soon as my head is clear, I'm going to look over this direction here. Scoot down, put these together, I shed a hook, and I'm immediately looking for his shoulder here, and I'm going to step over here, and I'm holding his shoulder so it's hard for him to continue to stay on my back. If I hold nothing and I roll, of course he'll put that hook back in. But if I can keep his upper body to me and to the mat, it'll help me a great deal to stop that from happening. Again, with a loose harness, scooting myself down using my heels. Yeah, there's another option that might happen if his hooks are a little deeper, meaning there's space between my leg and his foot because they're in there deeper. It could be that when I bring my knees up and I kick one free, that I can see a little space here and I can actually create a hook. If you can create this hook with your hook, you may be able to lift it and bring your arms under the leg, turn over, and you may be in the beginning of some kind of guard pass. Perhaps my favorite kind of guard pass, the double under. So again, we're here. Harness is loose enough I can move myself down. I bring my knees up, just creates the kind of tension that allows me to straighten one leg here. And now I create a hook, if I can create a hook. Create that hook. I can lift and get my arms underneath, spin, and try and get up, maybe into a pass. Brad and I are friends with Priit Mikhelson. He's developing a defensive guard system, and a lot of us talk about Priit lately. Priit has a particular way of dealing with when somebody's on his back. He emphasizes looking at the choking arm, but in a major way. When Brad gets a grip for a choke, I'm gonna not just look at the armpit of the choking arm, which is always kind of good advice, but I'm going to use my whole body to look at it. I'm gonna try to get a grip of his leg here to keep him from continuing around my back. So this keeps him where he is, and I'm gonna turn all the way, trying to look at Brad's armpit, right here. I haven't turned my whole body until I switch my legs as well. So when I get a chance, when it's safe to do, I'll clear this hook to further turn to face the choke. Now my whole body is fully committed to looking this way. And this is the defensive position he gets in. And so this is the position right here, looking at the choke. So one more time, getting into that position. If he gets a grip here, I'm gonna grab the leg so he can't come around me as I turn, and then I'm gonna look at the choke with my neck and my head and my shoulders and my hips. And when I get a chance, I'm gonna shed this hook, and I'm gonna look at completely with my lower body as well. So this is the defensive position, and it's also possible to do this with my forehead on the floor facing backwards. I tend to stay on my elbow, but this is an option as well. Yeah. Okay, once you know how to set up this defensive position from somebody on your back, and again, all credit to Priit Mikhelson here, I look with my head and my shoulders. I can hold his leg so he doesn't come around me as I do this, and my torso and my hips, and eventually my legs. I'm facing this direction. It starts to become possible to hold the leg now with this arm and start working grips here. If you put that choke in, yes. I'm gonna get a grip on his arm or his gi here and start to climb up and get my head to the other side where I'm safe. So I actually climb up his arm and I step right over to my knees. So I turn to face this choke. I switch when I can my hooks. And now I'm already almost getting to my knees anyway, right? I'm almost belly down already. I'm gonna get a grip of his material here and start climbing the arm and taking a top position right there. One problem that can come up when you're doing this Priit Mikhelson sort of defensive position from the back is his other hand might come out from my armpit and he might start attacking from this side. If he goes ahead and puts this choke in, well, I'm totally facing the wrong way and it's gonna be a problem for me. So the other hand becomes the problem. I'm here defending and he puts that other hand in the collar. So let's talk about the different stages where I can sort of defend this. When he's got the one hand over and I start to turn, it's definitely possible to be tighter on this arm with my elbow clamp. I can set everything else up the same as we already did, and I'm just keeping this other arm in check by having my elbow clamped down on it. So that'd be your first level of defense on the other hand switching in for the choke. The second level of defense, if they do escape their hand from your armpit when you're going for this defensive position and it starts to come over, is to use this hand and catch four fingers. This was advice that Priit gave me when I said I was having trouble with the other hand. He said, phase one, clamp with your elbow. Phase two, clamp their fingers. Grab their four fingers when they reach around for the choke. Much harder for Brad to finish this now. The last sort of phase of defense on this defensive position, if the person takes their hand out, I wasn't tight enough here, I didn't catch their hand, is to turn my head and go right back to getting our head and shoulders to the mat, sort of the old school escape. But there is nothing stopping me from doing that at that point. So that's an option for me. And the other option, when I haven't caught their hand, didn't catch their hand here, is from here for me to also switch. Let's say he's got his hook in still and he starts dragging me to the other side. I'm just gonna have to go to the defensive position on this other side, start shedding the hook and try to get up on that side. So if the other hand becomes a problem to where it's going to be a successful choke, he's got two hooks in, he drags me to the other side, we can just set up our defensive back position on that other side. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Monday Brain Dump this week. Thanks to Brad for being here.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Those are some escapes or some escape concepts that you can think about when somebody has taken your back. They go from basic and old school to sort of new. Some of this stuff is the newer stuff being developed. Priit Mikhelson is one of the guys right now who's a lot of people are getting a lot of good ideas for defensive jiu-jitsu play from, and the back is a great place to start thinking what is the best defense. So old school, new school, we got it all here. Thanks for tuning in. This is the stuff we'll look at in greater depth this week in class and in our workouts of the day. So look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much. See you soon.